So good morning all. I'm Ankit, and today we'll be talking about Angular server-side rendering and pre-rendering. If you have worked on Angular, then you might have knowledge about the like client-side rendering and what are the different rendering strategies. So in this talk, we'll do the server-side rendering and pre-rendering using Angular Universal. So agenda of this talk is like we'll discuss on various rendering techniques. What is server-side rendering? Why to use server-side rendering? What is pre-rendering? And we'll do all the things with okay. So, before I go ahead with a topic, let me introduce you myself. I'm Ankit Prajapati, full stack developer, open source contributor, and blogger. I do write blogs on my website, ngdevelop.tech. You can connect there and see the what are Angular and JavaScript related blogs. You can feel free to connect me on Twitter and GitHub. And if you have any question related to Angular or JavaScript, you can connect me with them. Okay, so let's come to the point.
Yes, I'm also getting like some kind of very.
Hello. Okay, is it fine now?
I think is it because of the mic, I guess.
Okay. Hello. Yeah, is it fine? Or let me just stop the. Sorry, I don't hear the mic for now. Yeah, I can try it.
Yeah.
Hello. Yeah, is it fine now? Bhargav, can you please confirm?
Yeah, I think it is better now.
Yeah. Okay. Okay.
Yeah, this is much better.
Yeah.
Great. Or let me just stop my noise up there. Okay, so before we start with the talk, let me introduce you myself. I'm Ankit Prajapati. I'm a full stack developer. I'm also doing open source contribution for some libraries and also in the Angular. And also I do write a blogs on ngdevelop.tech. You can connect me with like on Twitter or in GitHub. Okay. So is it better now, right, Bhargav?
Yeah, it is better, Ankit. Now.
Yeah. Great. Okay, so let's first discuss on the various rendering techniques. Like there are client-side rendering, server-side rendering, and pre-rendering. What is all this? So generally, whatever frameworks you are using, whether it is Angular, React, or Vue.js, yeah, whenever you are building the project, that will generate some JavaScript files, and that will and to like that JavaScript files will be loaded on the browser, and that will be rendered there. So it is like compiling and rendering there in the browser itself. So there are advantage of that client side rendering, and there are some disadvantage of that thing also. Like suppose this is the one application which I have created for the demo purpose. So this is Angular application. Let me show you what are the things it contains. So it has two pages. Like it has three pages. One is my main home page, which is the static content there. Another one is like books page, where we are getting the list of books of that Game of Thrones, and other pages like characters. These are the data which we are getting here is from the APIs, the public API which I am using for now. So the issue with this client-side rendering is that it generally not all the crawlers can crawl the pages. That client, if you will check in the page source here, like then is like already rendered page. Let me just start application. Until the application starts, let me just brief you about it. So the issue with this client-side application is that doesn't contain the text and all that things. It is dynamically generated. That it has the way we say like it is a single-page application, that it has only one index.html, and all the like routes and contents will be loaded dynamically. So crawlers, not all the crawlers are able to like compile that things. Some of the crawlers like Google is able to compile that things JavaScript, and then it can render the content, but not all the crawlers are doing that things. So for the SEO purpose, server side rendering can be helpful. So in what we do in the server side rendering, the whole application will be rendered on the server. When we are hitting any page, it will generate that page on the server and give us a complete HTML to our site. Other advantage is also there for the server side rendering that we'll cover in next part. And pre-rendering is also one advantage. Suppose we are building some site like for the blogging site, or where all the content is static content, then we can what we can do, we can just pre-render that thing. So in pre-rendering, when we are building the application, we are generating the static pages of all the routes, and that we can like publish on the CDNs on so that will be a powerful, and that can give us a more performance over there. So that will be a helpful while we are like working on the blogs or all that things. So let's come to a like SSR. What is SSR? And before that, if application got started. Okay, so here if you will see that, you will check that it doesn't contain any like it doesn't have any tags or anything. It just only index.html, and it has some scripts. So not all the browsers will be all the crawlers will be able to parse that things. So your SEO will be not improved there. So to improve the SEO, and also for initial increasing the initial loading time, we can use server-side rendering. So I'll show you all the demos step by step. So just the definition here, what is server-side rendering? So server-side rendering generates the full HTML page for on the server in response to navigation. Whenever you are doing any navigation, it will generate that page on the server, and it will return that complete page to a client side. Okay, so the concept is like this. Suppose I am accessing a books page on my browser. It will request that books page, and it will process that on the server, and then it will generate the HTML, and it will pass on to a client. So other overhead of like compiling the JavaScript, and if there is like I am working on the low power devices, then that JavaScript download time will be increased, and so that in client-side rendering it doesn't show any initial page. So like my first content full paint will be like it will load after 2 or 3 seconds, which is not good for the like it is not good for any application. If you have seen in the Google, then their SEO strategies say that if your page is loading after 2 or 3 seconds, then your 30 to 40% users will go out from that page. So for that purpose, we can use a server-side rendering. So advantages of server-side rendering is like it facilitates web crawlers through search engine optimization, so that it improves the performance. Also, it helps in the loading the first page quickly, and even if the JavaScript is disabled, it will work. So the issues with client-side rendering, I'll show you all these issues, and we can optimize it with server-side rendering. So this is the client-side rendered page in Angular. Let me show you the code that I have created some files. That there are 3 routes: home, character, and books. And character also has like parameter is routes, where I can pass an ID, and we can show the particular character details of that ID. Okay, and here one more thing I am using is for like calculating the first contentful paint, which is the metric used for the SEO. that when your what is the time it takes to like give render the first image or text on the page. So these are the matrices that this is one of the 6 metrics which is used for the like improving the SEO and all the things. So as you can see here, the first point is like it facilitates web crawlers. Generally in client side rendering, we doesn't have any content there, so crawlers will not able to parse the content. So in server side rendering, I'll show you that what contents it show. Another thing is like improve the performance here. If your internet connection is good, it will work properly for the client side rendering. But suppose I'm working on the low power devices, then let me show you a demo by like changing the network connection. Suppose I'm working on the fast 3G or slow 3G. So if you check it here, it takes some time to load all the pages and then render. So you can see here my content is still not loaded. So it will not give a better performance or better user experience. User will not wait this much time and it will go out from this side. So to improve that things, we can use server side rendering. Another is like first show the first page quickly. Yeah, these things only that we can show that first page quickly. If you see here, then it takes even like 17 seconds kind of thing. So we can improve that things using the server side rendering. And also if you check here, suppose I'm disabling the like JavaScript here, then it will not work. Yeah, it will not show anything, right? I have to use JavaScript for it. So to uh, to fix that all that things in the like client side rendering, we can use the server side rendering. So to add server side rendering in any Angular application, they have their own library called Angular Universal. We can use that library and like convert our whole project into a server side rendering project. Okay, so for that, let's do how to implement it. So they have provided one schematic which is a one command which you can execute. It will load all the required libraries and do generate all the required files. So I can execute this command, and which will convert my whole project into a server side render project. So it will basically create some other files to handle the server side rendering. Okay, so ng add ng universal and then express ng. So Angular Universal is using Express for generating Node.js Express to generate that web pages on the server, and then it is returning to a client. It generally downloads. It will add some files. These files it will add and add some packages here. So until it install that packages, let me show you what are the files it has updated. So here, as you can see, it has added these files and updated these files. So in angular.json, it has updated the output path. Generally, for the normal application, it generates all the outputs in directly that project name folder. But if you are converting your project to server-side render project, then it will generate 2 folders, one for the browser files and another one for the server rendered files. Also, it adds some configuration for the builders. So it to compile these files, it using that the server configuration is added, which is hello. Yeah, but yeah, yeah, it will add all that things. Here I'll show you. Okay. I'll, yeah, right. It will
This is
generate all that file and update all that file.
this
Yeah, we can customize it. Sure. So in Angular.js, JSON, it added some configurations for pre-rendering and also for serving that application on the local server. So in Angular 9, it has added two features for live reloading and also for pre-rendering. So that both features will check. Also in package.json, it has added some dependencies and some scripts for the server-side rendering. As you can see, it has added that express package and types of express. Now this file will be executed for the server-side rendering. That start this project, this application, and when we are serving our application, it has a browser folder. Our browser folder, it will pass the files from our browser folder and assets from that folders only. So as you can see here, it is going to this browser folder. When we'll compile that things, I'll show you that how it is getting that thing, and also how it is rendering here. Okay. Then tsconfig server, it is the main server TypeScript configuration file, and it just write that entry module, which is the entry module. And the way there is app module, it also generates the app server module, and app server module will be bootstrapped while we are running our server-side rendering. So this module will be bootstrapped instead of app module. And as you can see, this our main.file, if there is no server-side rendering, then this platform browser.dynamic.bootstrap module will be directly outside without this DOM content loaded callback. So what it does, it added advantage. Generally, this server-side Angular Universal is not only server-side rendering. It is combination of server-side rendering and client-side rendering. So what it does, is suppose when I'm hitting any page, then it will give me that rendered page, as well as in that page it will fetch the client-side rendered our application, and then once that files are loaded, it will pass the control to that browser app instead of the server-side rendered app. So now once that our files are loaded, it will pass that control to a browser app here. And also in that app routing, it will add initial navigation, which is used for the server-side rendering to pass on the control. In app module, yeah, with server transition, this is the app ID, which should be the same here. App ID is used, and yeah, this is the app server module. As you can see, it is using the app module, our main app module. So all the content or files of our application will be available to this app server module, and also the server module, which is a part of Angular platform server. Okay. So if you want to implement a basic server-side rendering, then you doesn't have to do much things. You just have to execute this command, and after this, you can just run one command. As you can see here in the package.json, it has added some scripts. You can run npm run and dev ssr. It will run your server-side render application in local environment. Generally, previously it was not possible, but in Angular 9 they have added this facility. So I can just run npm run and dev ssr. Before that, let me just add two console logs so that we can check whether page comes from the server-side rendered or it is a client-side rendered. So in server.ps, whenever we get any hit from the browser, it will come here and it will check the path and it will render the page here. So let me just write what are URL. Request and then URL. Okay. And one more thing we'll add here when we are passing control to our browser app. So in.server.ts. Okay. Here we are passing the control to our browser app. So what we'll do, I'll just write it here. Passing control to log message so that we can identify whether it is loaded from the client side or server side. Now let's run it on local machine. So for that you can check the script added here in the packet.json. Their SSR. npm run their SSR. You can directly execute this command also, ng run and then project name and then serve SSR. I hope you are getting. If you have any doubt in between, just let me know. Okay, so my local server-side rendered server is started, and I can check it here, like localhost 4200, and you can see the speed, like how much time it got rendered. So the advantages which we have discussed. So let's check one by one. It facilitates the web crawlers. So as you can see, I can go to the view page source. Yeah, as you can see here, we are getting all the contents. Okay, so these contents can be parsed by the crawlers that they can read all these things. If you are also using the APIs, that thing will be also like rendered properly. So here, one thing as I told you that we are passing control from local like server-side render application to a client-side application when all the files are loaded. So let me show you that thing first. That if I'm working, because in if we are working on the normal speed or high speed, then it will not be visible properly. So I'll be like simulating the low power devices. So I'll be using here fast 3G, and the issue was with like the client side render application. It takes so much time to show me the first view of my application. So here what I can do, let me refresh it here. It got refreshed, but it doesn't seem to, right? Let's open it in a separate tab so that we can identify whether it worked or not. You can see here how fast it got loaded, and still my GS files is getting loaded. It is not available till now, even though my content got loaded properly, so that it gives a better user experience. Even though my JavaScript files is getting loaded, my user is not feeling that application is not working properly, and he will not move to another page. So that this gives this advantage. So facilitate crawlers, we have checked how it improves the performance, and once that all the files are loaded, it passes the control to our browser app. As you can see here, I have added some console log. So when I'll be suppose moving here, initially if I'm directly suppose executing that route, then it will first time it will call the this server side rendered page. And once my client side rendered page application is up, it will not call here. Let me simulate it with the other thing, or let me just open it. It got stuck. Okay. As you can see here, we are getting the request from here. Suppose I'm executing character. It is not coming here because my browser side app is up and running now. So it is not coming on the this server side rendered server. So, but if I'm executing first time, then it will come here, and you can check this routes. Also, if there are parameterized routes, it will also work the same way. Suppose I'm refreshing it, yeah, it is coming here. Okay. So another advantage which I told you, like we can, even if the my JavaScript is disabled, it will work properly. So suppose my JavaScript is disabled. Let me disable JavaScript here, and let me refresh the page. You can see request is coming here. Now all the request will come to this server because our client side application is not running. So all the request will come to our server. So this way we can use a combination of server-side rendering and client-side rendering to improve our application performance and as well as to improve SEO. And you can check the how fast it got loaded, uh, the way that work with the client-side rendering and the way it work with the server-side rendering. So in low-power devices, it will help more. Okay. That is the server-side rendering. There are also some things which we can customize it, but that we will not consider in this one. In this session, we will go ahead with how pre-rendering works and what are the advantage of pre-rendering. Okay. Any doubts in server-side rendering?
Yeah, I have a doubt. So, while you were showing that demo, so the page was rendered. I mean, the content was rendered, but the JS files were getting downloaded in the background, right?
Right, right,
So, does that mean that the user would be able to see the content, the images and the text will be visible, but
right.
like he won't be able to interact? Is it like that?
Yeah,
Okay.
it is for up to
So, I mean,
the is that. Yeah.
okay.
Hello.
Okay, so I mean, that would be more or less equally frustrating as a slow FCP would be. Like, my
Yeah.
content has been loaded, I can see everything, but the buttons aren't clickable, or
Yeah.
I can't do anything.
Yeah, up to some level that thing is there, but if your page is completely empty, then user will not feel that he's getting anything or that site is working properly. Okay. So in that case, we can show
Yeah.
them initial page faster, and until that, generally it will not take that much time the way we are simulating it here, but uh, we can show that first page faster. We can show there are some pages, like if you are using on the landing page, on landing page there are not much actions, right? On your home page, you are just writing the content
Yeah,
for the
makes sense.
all that things, right? In that case,
Okay, okay, yeah. Yeah. Okay,
yeah,
okay,
yeah, yeah.
okay, okay.
Reloading.
Oh, Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, there is a gate path is there and other things are there which is using for the prefetching in Angular.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, Animesh, one more thing is
Okay.
there.
Got
If
it.
you are like moving to a
Yeah,
different
Ankit.
page, your routing will work properly. Let me just show you uh, by disabling the JavaScript. And you can see your routing will work properly. Your JS files that will be rendered on the side that server side. Some things will not work.
Oh,
Like
okay.
so that is the thing with
A few
between
things
server
might
side.
not work. Okay, fine.
Okay. Okay.
Okay.
Any
Yeah,
other question in SSL?
got it.
Or I'll move ahead with the
Ankit,
pre-rendering.
have you used Bootstrap there? Means suppose if I have external CSS, means heavy CSS. Just suppose I am using less than means complete CSS is loaded after was compiling it to. So in that case, will it be beneficial or means I as I can say if suppose I have lot of CSS, so what will be the result of that suppose a website has a lot of css, so if we are using server side rendering, so what will be the result? Will it just give the content just only, or it will fetch data along with the style? I mean, it will
Yeah,
show the
that
data along with style.
after all these things will be come, but suppose there are your separate files, then that will be in the like it will be parallelly loading. So once that CSS file will be loaded, it will render it properly. Let
Okay,
me show
so
you here. Suppose when I'm hitting any page in the network, then you are getting complete page here. Okay, and parallelly I am also loading this bootstrap.min.css and styles.css. So once that is loaded, your page will look proper.
okay, okay, thanks. Mhm.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah. Okay, so now let's move ahead with the what is drawback of server-side rendering. So generally for server-side rendering, we need an extra overhead on the server side, and that is expected because we have to process on the server side. So that is will be the extra processing time, and we have two separate applications, one for the server, and we have to also manage for the client side. So both will be things there. And also some things like window, document, and location, because we are using Node Express server, that window object will not work there. And these are the things if you are generally you should not use in your applications, but if you, for some critical reason if you have used that thing, then that things will not work. But at that time you can use some dependencies like at the rate you can inject the dependencies, predefined dependencies Angular has provided for the document and window. You can use that so that it can patch that things in the server. Okay, so now we are coming to a pre-rendering part. So what is pre-rendering? So in the simple terms, what I'll say that pre-rendering is, so when we are building our application, we are generating all the routes of that application. So that will be a static contents, all the static contents, and we can host that on our hosting servers. So whenever user comes to that application, it will directly give that ready-made page, that generated page. So it reduces that processing time on the server. Also, it will be a faster to get loaded. But there are some drawbacks of this. But let's first see how it works. Then we'll at the end when we'll see when to use pre-rendering and when to not. Okay. So the concept visualization is this. As I said, that we are navigating to any page, we are requesting it. So at the build time, we have already generated that routes and we have saved it in the file system. So whenever we are coming to this page, it will pass me the index.html of that particular page and it will be loaded faster. Okay. So Angular Universal has also added builders to generate the pre-rendered pages. Okay. So let's do that. Okay, so to pre-render pages, here in package.json, Angular that Angular Universal has added to this command, like pre-render. You can directly execute this ng run that project name and then pre-render command, or you can just use npm run pre-render. We can use the shorthand method npm run pre-render. And pre-rendering uses the guest parser, which is made by the Minko, who is the part of Angular team. And using this guest parser, it detects what are the routes of this in this application, and it will generates the static pages for that applications. Okay, so when we are doing the pre-rendering, it first generates a build of application, and then it will generate whatever the routes are. Then it will generate the static pages of them. So let me show you the parallelly that how it's generated. So in this folder, just keep eye. So you can check it here. Okay, so build of our application is done. Once that is done, it will generate the static files. And that is also using that Express server to generate that static files. The build is done, you can see here. And after that, it will generate the files here. As you can see here, it is generating four different routes. So what are the static and this guest parser will detect if we have not provided any routes by own, then it will detect all the routes which are not the parameterized routes. So just only static routes it will render. So as you can see here, it has generated the home page, and as you can see here, it generates all the contents there. I just formatted it here, and it contains all the data. And this is the pre-rendered page. Same way there is a characters, and let me just format it here this way, and we can just uh, host this content on our hosting server, and that will work. As you can see here, This is how pre-rendering works, and then just to start check whether it works or not, let's just check how it works in the like server. So let me go to this. Okay, and I'm using here HTTP server to serve this static files on local machine. As you can see, yeah, it is hosted on localhost. Start this. As you can see, the page is loaded faster. This home page. This is the server rendered page. We can confirm whether it is this one or different by writing this. Let me just write one. You can see here we are hosting this that pre-rendered page. So advantage of this that we can just generate some pages which are the static as a pre-rendered and others by using our Angular application. So we can use the combination of pre-rendering and our main client-side rendering. This way we can generate the default routes, or you can say that static routes without the parameter. But there are some routes which are the parameterized routes. Like there is some routes which are like characters and ID. So how we can pre-render these routes? Because this guest parser or that Angular universal will not understand what are the parameters a user can pass here. So for that, we have to manually tell them that I want to generate these routes. So that thing we can do by writing the complete command, and we can pass some extra parameters like routes, and we can specify the what routes I want to generate. So let's see how to generate parameterized route. So npm run, and then pre-render is there, which is we have used for generating the default routes or just static routes, and then we can add some extra parameters like I want to generate routes for characters id1, another routes for characters. Let's just check it again. You can directly execute this command also. It will do the same process again, and it will generate all the files. So it will generate all that static pages as well as the routes which we have specified here. There are two approaches to provide this dynamic routes or custom routes. We can write it in a separate file that I'll show you after this one. Also, we can specify it in the angular.json. Yeah, our bundle is ready, and now it will generate the routes. Output symbol. Characters. Routes, characters. Routes, character. First. One character slash two. Disconnect. I think previous dist folder was not removed because we that server was is running. Let's just check whether it works or not. Syntax was correct, but just the dist was not updated. So yeah. As you can see here, it has generated other routes, and here for ID1 and for ID2, other two routes are generated. We can pass more routes here, and you can check the content here. It is also rendering the content, and we can hit this page directly. So for if you are building the like blogging site, then you can generate all the blogs you statically and then host it on your server. This thing we can do. We can also pass inside the angular.json here. We can write all the routes in the array format. The way we have written it here, can write it uh, in the routes part, but that doesn't make sense when there are like thousands of pages. Okay, so in that case we can create one separate file, and we can write a script there to generate that routes there, and that will be used to generate dynamic routes. So here what we'll do, I'll just show you one how we can use the separate file here. So I'll create one file here, dynamic routes, just any name you can provide it here. .txt. It will be a normal txt file. Let me write here multiple routes, characters. One. Okay, these are the routes I have added, and I can use this file to generate all the static pages for this dynamic routes. I can use specify this file in the angular.json here also, or I can write in the command. So let me show you how we can pass it inside the command. So npm run pre-render and then routes file, and then specify the name of that file. So here it will be a dynamic routes.txt. Dynamic routes. So we can in this file we can dynamically generate like hundreds or thousands of routes, and we can directly execute this command. And also it is generating on the server side, like using the Express, so it is faster. There is also another approach is that if you have heard about the Scully, which is also static rendering engine. So it uses the Chromium and it is generating on the client side. It is not using Express server. So Express is faster comparative to Chromium, I guess. You can compare both the things and use it as per your requirement. As you can see, it is generating all the routes which we have specified: characters 1, characters 2, 3, 4. And here we can check it has generated all the files. So this way we can pre-render some of the pages or all the pages of our site, and we can host it on any server like HTTP server, and then we can use it. So for blocking purpose, it will be a very helpful, and it can be used there. So this is the pre-rendering, and we should when we should use it. So drawbacks of pre-rendering is that it adds extra overhead while we are building the application. So all the routes will be generated at that time. So it is adding extra time for generating that things. Also, it will not work if you have any logic, like you want to show some content on the role basis, like on the user role basis, then it will not work because that thing will be available on the runtime only. So at that time, we can't use pre-rendering. And then another thing is like when there are content is frequently changing, then also we have to, whenever the content is getting changed, we have to rebuild the project. So at that time, pre-rendering we should not use. So but here the thing is that we can use the combination of server-side rendering, pre-rendering, and client-side rendering to give a better user experience. That is the whole things of this different rendering techniques. That is all from my side, and these are the resources you can refer for more details, or connect with me on Twitter or anywhere. I'll be available anytime if you have any doubts regarding Angular or JavaScript side. You can refer my site here. I do write blogs on Angular and JavaScript at this place. Okay. Thank you.